Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech World with Abdul. Today is day 5 of our 30-day lab series. We are building something incredibly powerful today, a fully functional Google Trends Analyst AI agent. We'll be using Google ADK, which is the agent development kit, and connecting it directly to BigQuery using MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. If you haven't been following us, we are trying to do this lab series for coming 30 days. We are on our fifth day. This is my channel Tech World with Abdul. You can follow the 30 lab 30 day building AI agents on Google Cloud series, which has almost five videos which are already completed. You can follow this and get along with us. With that said, if you are new to MCP, you can do the labs which you have already completed. You will get to know. So what is MCP? Think of it like a coffee shop. You give an AI a order, and then that order gets executed based on the prompt you have given. You give an AI your order, your prompt, and MCP acts as the barista's espresso machine, grabbing the exact fresh ingredients, and in this case live BigQuery data needed to prove your perfect answer without you having to go behind the counter and write a SQL yourself. By the end of this video, you will have a containerized AI powered data analyst deployed on Google Cloud. Let's dive in. Well, to start, we will be using Google Cloud to perform this operation. Just go to Google and look for Google Cloud, and you should be able to see cloud.google.com. Click on this link and click on console. And if you have done that before, it's easy peasy, no fancy stuff there. You just have to follow the instructions. Once you're done with that, you would be landing on this console page. Now, what we are trying to do here is trying to set up the environment so we can start building it. You will need a project. Here I do have AI GCP MCP project on the top left bar. Click here and create your own project by saying new project. I already have my project. I'm using that. It's straightforward, nothing fancy. If you have followed my previous labs, we have done that time and again there. With that said, now uh, let's try to expose a bunch of stuff here. Let's esta establish our Cloud Shell. How can I establish my Cloud Shell? Go and click on this icon top right next to the Gemini icon, which is called as Activate Cloud Shell. This is going to open the Cloud Shell. Authorize this piece. It gets authorized. And all these instructions are present as part of our uh, you know uh, GitHub link. For that, I have the GitHub link for that. I'll be posting it in the video, and all the labs are there here. The lab manuals will help you with the instructions which are needed. Here we are trying to open the Cloud Shell and set the the Google Cloud project and the GenAI make sure GenAI uses the Vertex AI, and we're trying to set those attributes. Let me set that. So my project ID, it's already set, but still I'll try to show you how we can set the project here. AI GCP hyphen MCP hyphen 2026, and that's it. You exported and you have set that values for this session. Now uh, we need to authenticate. If you are not authenticated, you can authenticate by using Google Cloud Auth, uh, gcloud auth, and select login. We already logged in, so we don't need that. We need to enable bunch of APIs for this particular exercise. What is that? Using the gcloud services enable command, which is again present as part of my instructions. You can follow that here. If you come down, you will have enable BigQuery and different APIs which we are trying to enable. Just copy paste that. I'm just trying to do that. Control V. All we are trying to do is enabling run Google APIs, cloud build, artifact registry, BigQuery, and AI platform. These are the APIs I'm enabling. Just put this and hit enter, and then you should be good. finished successfully, you would see this message. Once that is done, we need to enable MCP for BigQuery. That is again a beta service. If you see, but a few of the gcloud commands go through these gcloud commands. Also, we saw in our previous video where we discussed about how Gemini CLI works. So you can take a look at that video to understand. This is just a way of interacting with Google Cloud, gcloud command, and then beta is services which are like in beta. And you're enabling those services to use BigQuery APIs. Enter. So it's throwing an error. Let us see what is this issue. For this command, no up. To enable the service, use gcloud service enable. So it's saying you don't need to use beta, just say use enable is what it's saying. Let me try this. This is good. If we need to fail to understand what is the issue. So if you have such issues, you can definitely use Gemini to debug it. Let me use Gemini to debug this thing. Well, when I copied it to Gemini just here, and it tells I have already enabled it. I don't need to enable it again, which is good news for me, which is fine. Okay, let me clear this. We're done with enabling the necessary services which we need for this project. Let me create some directories which are needed for this project. We are trying to build a trends agent, so I'm going to create a directory called Google Trends agent, and then go inside that, and then again create another directory called as Google Trends within that. So enter, and if you do ls, you will see you're already inside Google Trends, which got created. Perfect. So this is done. The next piece is we need to build the agent code. To build the agent code, we need a file like we have done in our previous labs. Well, a lot of this is also, a mix of Linux and, which you can learn while you're doing these labs. So to create a file, just a simple file within Linux, we would use a command called as touch. What touch does is, so for example, let me show you here right now. PWD is present working directory. I am inside Google Trends agent, and I can do a CD or list the files inside, sorry, inside Google Trends, and do see there is nothing. Right now inside Google Trends there is nothing. Let's say I want to create a file inside this. I would say touch. I use a command called as touch. This creates a file inside wherever you are, right? And then you can give a file name. I want to go inside Google Trends and create a init file, and that should be underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. This is a Python file. Enter. So now when I do ls, uh, you would see that file is available. Perfect. Then once we have that, let us we created a init file. Now let us also create a file named let me do touch again, and let me just use the previous command, right? And then let me create a file named agent dot py. I'm creating another Python file called agent.py. So this also creates a new file. I need to copy a piece of code into this thing. I'll use the code editor for that. I just clicked on the terminal option. This is opening the editor. Sometimes it might be slow, so don't worry about that. So this is my previous one. Let me go here. Let me close the ones which I don't need. These are older ones. I don't need any of these. So this is the project which we created, the init file which we created, and the agent.py file we created just now. All it does is opens it in a VS Code view version of whatever you have created, just showing you different ways you can create. This kind of helps you, build your expertise on handling code within AI environment. I copy pasted the code which does bunch of stuff. We'll be talking about that. What this does is like, it generates a clear formatted prompt for the data analyst. That's what we are trying to pass here, the role, the instructions, what it is supposed to do, right? And the schema discovery to get it from which table and stuff like that, and headers are getting passed. Pretty basic stuff. configuring BigQuery MCP. For that, we are using this BQ tools object under which we are trying to call, actually BigQuery Google API MCP, which gets makes the call, and this is where the LLM agent gets invoked. So your question will be, where is that the agent is getting called with all those details? If you see this line number 69 to 74, just focus on this. This is where we are initializing the LLM agent, which means the Gemini AI, Gemini Flash model is getting triggered from here, and we are passing all those inputs, the BQ, the MCP tools prompt, as well as the today's date is what we are passing, and we are also passing some instructions, which is the get agent instruction, and the project ID is what we are passing as part of that. And we are also creating the app here. To create the app, we are using this object, and we are creating this app for this agent. Very plain and simple code, very easy. If you have any doubts, just throw it to your agent or Gemini chat, and should help you understand. Nothing fancy here. Perfect. So once that is done, we created two files, init.py, agent.py. With that said, now let's try to run this agent. To run this agent, I'll do the same thing. Go back to your terminal by clicking here. You can, again, if you can click, it will go back to your editor. The same, it's pretty straightforward. And let me, what is my root directory? Okay, I'm in the root directory, and let me try to create a Python environment. To execute any Python, class, you need to first create a environment, which is python -m venv is what you're saying. You're saying that you need a virtual environment to run this, and the source is this, and you're trying to activate that. That's what we're trying to do here, right? It takes a few seconds. Perfect, it got activated. Once that is done, we need to install certain packages which are needed for this thing. Specifically for this thing, we would need we use pip, which is the package installer for Python. Sorry, copied the same command. Pip install Google Auth Google ADK for MCP. I think it has pulled a lot of extra stuff. So watch out when you're trying to copy paste the command. Sometimes the keyboard acts weird. So it's pip install Google Auth Google ADK MCP. This is going to help you install the package, and we'll be using the ADK Web to test our new agent. And that is the reason we are installing this. It's gonna take a few seconds. Everything here is practical. We are doing hands-on to understand how these agents work. There is no slides, no fluff, no theory we'll be talking about. Just straightforward, agent development from scratch. If you see, it got, the packages got installed successfully. We are done with that. For local development and testing, we'll need web. So I would say agent development kit is accessed by ADK, and say web, ADK Web. This is what we'll be using for our development. Say, let me move this. So it is asking, do you want to proceed with the web UI interface? Yes. Y is what I have to pass here. Perfect. Web is started, and to access that, I can click on this IP. If you see here, UVCon running on this IP. If I click on that, it's gonna launch the UI. It's gonna take a few seconds. Give it some time. It's running on US East 1 and stuff like that. So Google Cloud is taking care of running that. Don't worry about that. Now, once you're done with, you saw that the link kind of it's loading. While it is loading, let's also try to enable bunch of stuff. Within Google Cloud Shell, if I want to test this out, I would have to pass, I would have to allow some stuff here. So to do that, what I will do right now, if you see, it is here the same thing. Let me shut it down for now, and then pass Same thing, ADK Web is what I'm passing, which is what I passed before as well. If you see, uh, where is that? ADK Web is what I passed. But along with that, I'm also saying hyphen hyphen allow origins, which means I'm making sure that for within the Cloud Shell, I want to be able to have this all the different URLs loaded. If you see, it is forbidding me from loading these. That is why I am passing this command allow origins star. So this way we should be able to access it without any challenges. This will start the ADK web server and you can interact with the agent using web interface. Open this. Now I'm assuming the UI will load. Perfect. So if you see here, agent development kit 2.7.1 version Google Trends got initiated. This was the Python code which we put. This is what the app it deployed with the code which we walked through. If you remember, same thing. See the app which we created as part of ADK. This is what the app we created, and the agent.py code Python file helped us create that app. That is the reason we are seeing this app up and running. Very straightforward. Literally, you have spun off agent which is up and running. So this is going to show you a lot of stuff. We'll see that. So we are able to load that. That is good. Now let's try to see if we can deploy this, which we created to Cloud Run. To do that, uh, well, before deploying, let's try to test it also, right? Because we know that locally this is up and running, but how do we know if this agent is doing anything? That is where our testing comes in. So let me check. Show this is the chat window which you have. So you can from here you can test this agent with whatever queries you have. Let's say show me top trends of cars in, let us say, USA, right? This is one query I'm passing. I want to see how does this, uh, you know, this agent work. Is it actually going and pulling the agent? So, like we said, this agent is writing that SQL which is needed for you. If you hover over it, if you see, it is it is doing a MCP, see, Google Trends MCP, and it's writing all those queries which are needed to figure out what is the kind of query I have asked here. I have asked it for the top trends of cars in USA, and it is doing MCP to the Google Trends data with using BigQuery, and then it is pulling all that data. You're doing nothing here. You built this agent just by bunch of clicks, and the agent is performing your ask. Yes, it's going to take few seconds because it's going to pull a huge pool of data to figure out those trends, and it's going to give you here just in this chat. You don't have to go searching. Very easy way of building you know agents using BigQuery. Well, it ran 49 different queries across the Google Trends data, and then it pulled the information. For now it is pulling this Terminated automotive gaming. Okay, perfect. So it has pulled that Chevy Silverado EV version has a huge trend, 71.2 on Tesla Autopilot, BMW Championship, Grand Theft Auto V1. These are the scores it pulled. You can ask any number of queries. Let's say I want to establish a new session. I say new session. It establishes the new session, and let's say I can ask um, uh, what are the top stock, let's say let's limit it to something simple. What are the top rising trends in, let's say, New York, right? It's going to do the same thing. It's querying. This is where we are testing all this. It's going to Google Trends, and then it is pulling all that data. Very straightforward. And look at how beautifully you can build this agent and test it out. So locally, this is running perfect. So it came up with, buy left, Mount Fuji. These are the different trends which are going on right now, ranked by, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, top 10. It was able to pull. And similarly, I can also ask, let me now start another session and ask it, what are the, mm, tell me everything. you know about the top underscore trends table. So this is a table it has access to. Let's see if it can communicate and share details around that. Well, locally we have tested this agent is what I would say. Like, you can ask as many queries as you want. You want to run this locally, you can do that. Doesn't take too much of, resources as such. Not just this, let's say if you have a client for whom you want to build this, you can easily deploy that as well. And we'll be looking into that aspect in a minute or so. But right now, I'm just showing you how locally you can test all these different trends for yourself and see how it is working. It's not going to take a lot of time for you to build this thing. See, it came back and it's telling what all it knows about that. So it has these many number of rows, humongous data available. Update frequency, it updates daily and weekly and refreshes is what it's saying. And different the columns it has and the correct table name, all that, right? This is where you can test it thoroughly and try out different scenarios with this agent. Locally we have tested it, but can we deploy this on cloud? Let us check that. All this is happening on terminal. On this terminal is what we are testing. Going back to my console.cloud google.com. See, this console is what we have been using to test, but this is local testing. It hasn't been deployed on cloud. We're just testing, we're just in the build phase right now. Let's try to deploy it. Now that we have tested and we are satisfied with the results, let me stop the server. I aborted this server. Just Control C is going to abort the server. If you see, it is going to bring this down. Application was shut down, right? Very straightforward to start. Like I said, web allow origins, and then it's going to pull up the application which we built. Perfect. Now the next step is deploying on Cloud Run. We have done this in our previous labs as well. Very straightforward. To deploy it, we need to give certain permissions to this project, and I'm just copy pasting those permissions. What are those? Your project number, which is nothing but AI GCP uh, MCP 2026 is what I have. You can have your own project and it gets created. Give access to Vertex AI to Google Cloud so that it can bind the policy, IAM policy, while it's deploying. You would need that for your MCP and BigQuery as well. And that's it. These are the few basic permissions. All these are present as part of the instructions in the lab manual. You can follow that. So just hit enter and it's going to provision them. Once that is done, we would need a Docker file. We will create a Docker file inside uh, the root agent and paste the stuff. So let me create a Docker file. Mm, I would say again, touch and Docker file, enter. So go back to your editor. This is the button to go back to editor and expand Google Trends. You will see the Docker file. It is empty. Just copy paste the content which I have in the manual. All we are saying is, I mean, it's just Docker declaration. You're using Python, your working directories /app and stuff like that. Nothing fancy, pretty straightforward. You're going to use this port. You're copying stuff from, you're changing the owner, and you're copying stuff from this directory to this directory. Straightforward. And then this is how you are going to start your application. Same thing, CMD, ADK Web, hyphen port, host, and app agents is what we are seeing here. That's it. The Docker file is ready. Now the deploying part. For the deploying part, I'll go back to my terminal. This auto saves, so you don't worry about doing Control S or anything. Back to here, I created my Docker file. Control V. I am running again the gcloud command run, which deploys this stuff on Cloud Run service of Google Cloud, which which is serverless and it gets deployed without hassle. I'm deploying it to US West 1. I'm putting the source allow unauthenticated and straightforward command, enter, and this should be deploying the application. It's gonna take a few minutes. Don't worry about that. It took a few minutes and it deployed my app, and this is where I can the same thing which we accessed in local is available now on cloud. If I click on this thing, the exact agent ADK is now running on Google Cloud Live on US West region, not run.app. This is the endpoint for that. I'll improve, enable. That's okay. I don't want that. Same questions you can pass here. Um, Top trends in Bangalore. Right. It has to generate the top trends in Bangalore. So we are looking for top trends in Bangalore, and it ran for a while and it came back with different results, which are top terms which are being searched for within Bangalore. Well, this is how they are able to, pool the data. This was a very, interesting lab in terms of understanding how you can build a AI agent using BigQuery and query the data just with plain English. You are able to query the data and do bunch of services. With that said, we come to the end of this lab. Now, let me try to show you how to clean this lab up with clear. Go back to your Google Cloud and just run the cleanup services. G-Cloud run services delete trends agent. This way you won't incur any charges and very essential for you to, build, do run these commands. If you like this content, please subscribe to my channel, and this greatly helps me in building such videos. If you want any other areas where you want me to make videos on, please feel free to comment that, and I'll be happy to create videos on that and share it with all your friends who can benefit from these videos. I'm trying to delete the project as well. That way I will be creating a new one next time. And also you can delete the files. For example, if you do a ls, there'll be files which you use to build this thing. You can do deactivate and kind of delete. That way all the files which you have created will be gone. Well, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.